Welcome to Flip Your Lid with Kim Honeycutt. Kim is a psychotherapist and executive director of ICU Talks, a mental health speaking ministry. This is a podcast about how to flip your lid and learning how to reconnect to who you really are.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Flip Your Lid. We got an amazing young woman with us today. She's a therapist. Her name is Tasha Hunter. You've probably heard of her. If you have not, you're going to be really glad that you took the time to learn more about who she is. So, Tasha, thank you. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us.
So glad to be here.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So, you know the deal. I want you to tell everybody, we're just going to start here and see where it goes. Tell us a little bit about what in life, your personal life or professional life, like what flipped your lid and what measures have you had to take to reconnect to who you really are?
I love this question.
Thank
and you. What flipped my lid, maybe, I guess it's been maybe 15 years ago, was the realization that the God that I was raised to believe in was not what is true. It's not true. And so all of my fears and doubts about myself and lack of acceptance, lack of self-love were based in believing in a God that would disapprove of me for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
And I knew that couldn't be a loving God.
Right.
And I remember the day, I remember the time when things were just unlocking for me. And so that is one moment in which my lid was officially flipped.
Yeah, right.
And then other times, Kim, I am a Air Force veteran, and it just occurred to me through personal and professional relationships and serving in the military that I went from being in a home where I was seriously, severely traumatized to joining the military and being severely and seriously traumatized.
Yeah.
And fighting a fight that I didn't even believe in. Like, what in the world are we doing to people?
Yeah.
What are we doing in this prioritization of the U.S. over the world and over people that matter too, and that want to live a peaceful life too, and that want to have family and community too? What am I doing? And I just started to think about who and what is really being served.
Yes, so good.
And wanting a life in which my personal and private life, my personal and professional life aligned with my values.
Yeah.
And so I just started to really, between religion and the military industrial complex, really figure out, who am I? And how can I live a life that is ethically or morally, or one that has true integrity, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's just, you just get left enough meat. I mean, there's so much on that. You and I could hang it for 5 hours, and we might, knowing us, we might do that. So, but thank you for that, because, honestly, we don't even have permission to have free speech about what you just said. It takes courage to say what you just said, that you are a veteran, and I truly mean it. I'm so grateful for your service, but I also hear you, who are we serving?
Who are we serving?
Yeah, in the Christianity.
Are we serving?
Right, in the Christianity coming in to this and knowing a lot of us have traumatized childhoods, and then people go into military, similar trauma, but also people go into churches, and it's a similar type of trauma and emotional regression that's happening there.
Yes, and trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma.
Absolutely. Whew.
And both roads led me to living a life in which I was living and existing for other people.
Yes. So
without really figuring out, who am I?
Yeah.
And the God that I do believe in, why did she create me?
Yeah.
What am I here for?
Sure. Yeah. And just to sit with that and honoring the divine femininity, you're right, honoring that we serve a God bigger than gender, but not being allowed to think that we serve a God beyond race, beyond gender, and that even saying that, people don't know how to interact with that one pronoun you just used. Yes. So tell me how because you talked about going to trauma response of fawning, which is also very much a coping mechanism / addiction that is encouraged in military, encouraged in families, and encouraged in church. So what put the spotlight on that? How did you start realizing this is not just a way of life. This is a lack of self. How did you get there?
Well, two things. In the military, in the Air Force, we have these core values. Mm-hmm. Two of them are service before self and integrity in all that you do.
Right.
But the more that they spoke about integrity and we would have to recite our core values all the time, I kept seeing proof of a lack of integrity. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so it felt like just something that you create and maybe an ideology or something, but it wasn't real.
Yeah.
Wasn't real.
Yeah.
Because of sexual assaults, because of leadership that is transphobic, homophobic, and racist.
Right. Right.
Because we are carrying out missions and literally decimating whole countries, communities, breaking up of families, stealing of resources to support us. And I don't see the integrity in taking what does not belong to us so that we can survive. And if I can't survive off of my own, I definitely don't want to steal it from another person.
Yeah.
And if we look at history, white supremacy culture has always committed violence against others in order to remain on top.
Right.
So I had to ask myself, what am I supporting? And I'm going to pause here because I actually don't even know if I'm answering the question.
Oh, you're doing great. Please just keep going. You're doing beautifully.
And so little bit by little bit, I just started chipping away and saying, whoa, am I a conscientious objector?
Yeah.
What am I? Because I don't support this. And when I would talk to people who were in the countries in which I was deployed, when I would talk to the people that live there, or they would talk to me, or we, have these conversations, and they said, we don't hate America. I remember somebody saying, we don't hate America. We want you out of our country. We don't hate you. We just, there used to be a hospital down there. There used to be a school over there. And you all came and you blew it all up.
Wow.
And for a minute, I sat with just this one person's, well, it's more than one person, but this specific person's story. And I imagined, what if I were in their shoes?
Yeah.
And all that I had known had been taken away. Can I allow myself to feel this person's pain? And this isn't I'm against the military. This is just as a veteran and as a spouse of the military. And I've spent 20 plus years in military environments, so I know the culture. I've worked in it from a number of ways.
Yeah.
Veteran, family member, or spouse, and then as a contractor, I've done all the jobs. I'm in the community and serve military members. It just some things for me didn't make sense. And I don't ever want to do anything that harms another person, no matter the reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So how are you in military, hearing the story, having empathy, right? And just being a compassionate person. How do you hear that? How do you reconcile that? Because you can't just say, well, that's it. I'm out. So you're talking about being inundated in the military culture and then having enlightenment, like looking at it differently, experiencing it differently. What did you do?
Little bit by little bit, I started kind of shedding away, just kind of backing up and maybe, counting down my commitments and, how much longer do I have in this environment? Mm-hmm. And what do I do? I don't regret my time in the Air Force. I could talk all day about how it saved my life in a lot of ways.
Right.
I am who I am today because of the benefits that the military provides. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was little bit by little bit, just a lot of self-reflection.
Yeah.
Those aren't things that I could vocalize. Even now, it's like, I don't want to, I have parts that I don't want to upset anyone with my experience, my beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's a duality. I mean, most people have a job they don't they don't agree with what a corporation is doing or the school system, whatever it is. And they also have a paycheck and kids take care of it. I mean, you're talking about duality a lot of us live in. Just the minute people hear military, they get more defensive about it.
Sure. And that backing up is exactly also what I did in religious environments. I would sit and there were periods of my life where I was so active in church. It's all I thought about. It's all I breathed. Mm-hmm. It was just everything. All of my relationships were in the church. Mm-hmm. I was all the things, leading things and just in there. Mm-hmm. But I started to listen, really listen and take in. Church felt, as much as I hated cliques and gangs, and I was never once somebody that was in the popular crowd. I was always on the outskirts. Uh-huh. Church felt like much of the same. Mm-hmm. Protect the leader, trust the leader, believe the leader at all cost.
Yeah.
Even if the leader is committing the same sins that they're preaching against.
Right.
Even if the leader is abusive to their spouse. Mm-hmm. Even if the leader is mismanaging the funds that were brought in, those wonderful tithes and offering that people work so hard to give.
Right.
Even if the leader preaches a sermon and shares some deeply personal stuff about somebody during the sermon.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was so many things that I observed. Mm-hmm. And I have parts that are even like, oh, well, nobody's perfect. Mm-hmm. But there was a lot of harm. Mm-hmm. And a lot of religious and spiritual trauma that was happening. Mm-hmm. And yet no conversations were happening about that. And as a matter of fact, there were more conversations about Malachi 3:10, giving of the tithes and offerings, giving your 10%. Mm-hmm. There were more sermons about women being in the role of like wife, being what it meant to be a good wife. Mm-hmm. There were many more sermons about anti-abortion and sermons against the LGBTQ plus population.
Oh yeah.
Than there ever were about preventing child abuse.
Yeah.
Preventing neglect. Mm-hmm. Addressing white supremacy culture and racism. Mm-hmm. There were less sermons about how we all really do belong to each other. And no matter where you stand, no matter what religion, no matter what belief, we really are the human race. And what does it look like? What does love look like in practice?
Right. In practice.
To not see a person based off of denomination. Mm-hmm. And to just see a person.
Yeah.
That wants a good life the way that I want a good life. And I didn't hear a lot of those sermons, not at the church. I went to some churches.
Yeah.
And I really didn't see love in practice. What I saw is The doors of the church are open. All are welcome. But once you get in here, you have to act like, dress like, be like we all are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I just started to kind of back up. I just started to back up. There were so many things that happened that we don't even have time to discuss. And I thought, oh, this doesn't feel like Jesus.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel like love.
Yeah.
Not real love.
Yeah. Your wording is so good about practicing love. And you're also doing a comparison that I don't hear a lot about, which is military versus church, or military alongside church, and the similarities, right, in that. And so I just want to put this out there because you talked about part of military is service before self. And church is the same, right? And here's the issue is that if there is no sense of self, that means I don't know what love is. I know what performance is. I know what perfectionism is. I know, right? But there's no self. And so if I don't have self, then I will listen to whoever the leader is, and I will seek their approval out of lack of self.
And if you're a traumatized person, or a person that has experienced childhood neglect, childhood trauma of any kind, mental, emotional, sexual, physical, abandonment, then you go in the military where they say, you don't matter. The mission, it's all about the mission first.
Yeah.
And not only mission first, but the interest of the United States government comes first, not your family.
Yeah.
Not yourself.
Right.
The mission and interest or priorities of the United States government. So then you exist and you serve the military with all that you have, with your whole heart. And you do all the things, and you work the long hours, and you go where they tell you to go, because that's what you have to do by contract.
Right.
And oh, by the way, that also exists in a lot of churches and a lot of corporations, and all of this existing. And you grow up in families. Let's say you grew up in a family where the man is the head of the household and everything revolves around the man. Or you have to put your parents' needs first and their emotions first.
Right.
Or you grew up in a home where you have to protect your siblings because of harm, alcoholism, sexual abuse, or any domestic violence. And, and you're the protector. At what point do you learn to love and protect yourself? Because nobody's teaching about that.
No, you don't.
I certainly didn't learn to protect and love myself.
Right.
I learned to keep things quiet. Family said, oh, this is still, your parent, you got to forgive them. You got to let it go. Oh, in church, when somebody, you got to forgive, you got to let it, turn the other cheek so they can slap the other cheek.
Right. Right.
You gotta be okay with being slapped. And of course, and all these different things. So I learned that was in fact not love.
Yeah.
In any of those situations. There was no self. And it's been a long road of me coming back home to me.
Yeah, that's good.
What does it mean to prioritize my own needs? What does it mean to have agency and autonomy? What's it mean to accept myself?
Right.
And I'm a queer Black woman, and I honestly didn't even meet God and find a sense of self until I came to grips with my own sexuality. Yeah. And said, whoa, that's when I really found self-love and found all the things. Freedom. When I could acknowledge my own sexuality, my own identity, apart from what other people want me to be or expect me to be.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so in this, I just don't think we can talk about it enough, that you're, a baby's born and they don't think, oh, mom and dad or grandparents are having a bad day, I won't cry. All right. They just show their need and they get their need hopefully satiated. But the older we get, the more we learn that we get taught that need is selfish. Any emotional need is a sign of weakness, that it's you not loving God, it's you being self-centered, being narcissistic, like all the things get so embedded in us that on our adult journey and find out like, oh no, without a sense of self, I will be abused because I'm abusing myself. I will gravitate towards a person who will continue that abuse, right? So you're like coming out of all this. Tell me a little bit about like what behavior is there? What trauma responses are you seeing that's giving an indication that like, oh, this is not who I really am. This is the conditioned self. This is who they told me to be. Like, did you realize all of it at once? Was it titration process, like very slowly dripping in of realizing what was actually happening to you?
Yeah, it was definitely a titration process. I noticed that in church, they used to have these, I don't know if they still have them, but these like what they call life groups. Mm. And I'd go and we were supposed to be like studying the Bible and all just spending time together, this connection time. And it was bull crap. And I
love it. Speak truth.
And I noticed that I was always like the odd man out. Mm. Like I would never really, I always had parts that were like, don't say anything. Don't question anything. Don't. Mm-hmm. Because I'm like, I read the Bible too. Like, yeah. Like are we reading this? Mm. And I would notice how they would pump up David and Paul and a number of the other leaders and apostles throughout the Bible. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, we're not really naming, like, you're sitting here, preaching and teaching about David and being a man after God's own heart, but David was a rapist and a murderer.
Yeah, right. How did we get so conditioned that we overlooked that? Like
that we overlooked that.
Yeah, that he's a racist and a murderer. Right. Yes.
And so it's like, what stories are you reading? And Paul was a murderer. Mm-hmm. And we don't get to take these stories in the Bible and like glorify them without telling the truth about who these people are. Mm-hmm. And so I could really pull at like Paul's history.
Yeah.
And things that he preached about. Right. And I'm like, are we Paulians? Are we? Because a lot of the letters that he wrote would cancel most of us out.
Right.
We would not exist. Mm-hmm. Even as Christians.
Right.
We would not exist. And I always thought that I had a passion for ministry. I do believe that in a lot of ways I am ministering, but I had this, I wanted to be a speaker and a minister and do these things. But according to Paul, I couldn't.
Right.
And so this titration, it was just little bit by saying, I've read the whole Bible. And I felt like I knew what was in there. And it just started to feel so uncomfortable that I had to remove myself. Mm-hmm. I felt like in those spaces that I could only exist if I were quiet, if I were compliant, and if I ignored my own knowing.
Yeah.
And I've spoken about this a little bit, being a queer person. And when they would preach against certain things, and I would kind of sit there and think, they're talking about me. Mm. They don't know it, but they're talking about me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to exist in this life. We only have one life. I don't want to exist and have to silence myself. Mm-hmm. There's only one Tasha. Mm-hmm. there's only one person like me.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of Tashas, but there's only one me.
Right.
And I do myself a huge disservice, and I feel like I would even disrespect the one life I have if I live my life for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't find out my own purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my life's goal from this point on.
Yeah. What measures are you taking for that? Like, are you doing certain types of therapy or things you're doing? Because again, like, we know our purpose when we know who we are, and yet we are in a culture that teaches most of us to not know who we are.
Yes. Oh, so much.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I read really good books.
Yeah.
I go to therapy. I've been in therapy for a long time.
Yeah.
I cleared out a lot of the people that aligned with values that I don't align with.
Mm.
And for me, I feel like in the search to like find out who you are, in my search to find out who I am, I had to grieve a lot of things. I had to grieve people.
Mm-hmm.
I had to grieve that weekly practice, that the going to church, the communing with people that I once loved.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I just always felt like I'm always going to be in church. I love the environment,
Mm-hmm.
that corporate worship.
Yeah.
Just all of us being together and praising God and just, well, I can do that in a number of ways that don't,
Mm-hmm.
it's not in a brick and mortar building. I can praise nature, and I can praise God, and I can listen to my intuition. So I'm practicing a lot of honing in on how does my body feel
Mm-hmm.
in certain instances. That little voice, that little intuitive voice back here, behind my ears that whispers things that I need to know or be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
I practice listening to that voice.
Yeah.
I practice naming who I am,
Mm-hmm.
the lens in which I see the world, in pretty much every environment that I'm in. Because never again, will I sit in a room full of people who are saying or doing really harmful things. I will never be in an environment like that and not use my voice to speak up for myself and others.
Yeah.
To set myself apart, to say, oh, no. The thing that you did, the thing that you said was so harmful and traumatizing for that person.
Mm-hmm.
I spent years afraid to speak up. In the military, you certainly really can't.
Right.
If harm is being committed to another person, you can't really vouch for them. You have to go along,
mm-hmm.
or you might experience the same.
Mm.
And so, retribution and all of that, it's a real thing. And so, I had to clean out my life, my circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was harder at first, but then it's really beautiful once it's done.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that all of those things, especially like really thinking about who I'm spending my time with and how I'm showing up in spaces and what spaces am I in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that you can really heal from anything unless you leave the places that were very harmful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's part of this is, since I'm in recovery, is, like when I first got sober, like it was crucial that I just be around people who are also in recovery. It was crucial that I not go to old playgrounds, playmates, all that kind of stuff. And there's a grief of loss of lifestyle. There's a grief of loss of the drug, all that kind of stuff. There's also crucial. And so I've heard people's very negative reaction when they hear like, oh, that for a period of time, queer people just want to be around queer people, that Black people want to just be around Black people for a certain amount of times and not have to be different or adjust or anything. But in that, there's a healing. And our hope is that, again, we get a more of a connection to self and have more of a panoramic view of people and more tolerance. But I think part of that is allowing ourselves to be intolerant. We're very okay with other groups being intolerant, right? But the difficulty of if you're a minority of needing time to just be with a marginalized group of people before you go back out into that. It's very, it's interesting to me that what fits people.
Yeah.
Right. And what makes it okay. But it is crucial that you have your own people and that you not have to be on people who you have to in any way apologize for being who you are.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And as a Black queer person, I feel like I've got to be okay knowing that there is a large percentage of the United States who will not really see my humanity.
Yeah. Yeah. And feel justified.
They will not see me.
Yeah.
In the same way that they see themselves as equal.
Right.
Even today, 21st century, 2023, and we have so many issues. Race-related issues. So instead of, and no amount of like respectability, being the good Black person, working hard, I'm educated,
right.
Follow at least most of the rules. I'm a good girl most days, and no amount of that. I watched it. It's been my experience. Like even today, like for a lot of white folks, I'm still an other. And will always be othered. It's why so many Black people die at the hands of law enforcement. And while I think that the media has made, jokes and people make jokes out of all of the Karens or whatever. I kind of don't really like that term, but all of the Karens that are like calling the cops or complaining or causing issues to Black and brown people, but it's really not funny.
Right.
It's really dangerous. It's really inhumane. It's not funny at all. And so just to your point, I've had to remove myself from people, places, and things.
Yes. Yeah.
That do not serve me well. And only allow myself in environments where I can be seen in the light of who I really am.
Yeah.
And where there's equity, where there's love, where there's respect, where there's acceptance. And again, through all of that, I found myself and I found my freedom.
Yeah. And that's evident. How did the don't ask, don't tell policy while you were in the military, like where are you in scope, the spectrum of acceptance, and then the don't ask, don't tell, like where are you when you were in the military with all that, or was it completely secretive?
Oh, those are some weird years.
Yeah.
My goodness, Kim, and I was the world's largest, just biggest hypocrite. I served my country, and then Thursday, Friday nights, I go and hang out with all my gay friends, and we party and a real good time that we could not discuss.
Right. On
Monday morning.
Right.
So when other people say, "Oh, weekend," and don't ask, don't tell. So they would talk, "Oh, I went, I had a barbecue, or I spent time with my family, or I did this other thing," and I would make up some kind of story.
Yeah, sure, had to.
Because I couldn't bring my queer self and talk about the things that I was really doing. And then it was weird observing both officers and enlisted self-identify as gay or lesbian or queer. I don't think that they used queer back then. It was just like bisexual or whatever, but that would self-identify as a means to get out of the military.
Oh.
It was weird seeing the chain of command make jokes about people. who were gay and lesbian and who would joke about, oh, well, you say you're gay. I'm going to out you to your family. Let's go call your mom and see what she thinks about you being gay.
Wow.
It was a lot of that, and just a lot of people exiting the military on their own or forced out because of their sexuality. And I didn't have a plan B. So I couldn't just get out and go home to my family. I didn't have a family back then to go home to.
Right.
I couldn't that was my livelihood. It allowed me to have a roof over my head and to feed myself, take care of myself.
Right.
So it was staying silent.
Yeah.
For a very long time. And that, during those don't ask, don't tell, the suicide rates were as high as they've ever been.
Yeah, I bet.
And so, again, in what world do we alienate people?
Yeah.
And do we bully people?
Right.
And we force people to be silent about who they are at their core. They were born that way or became that way for through whatever reason, because of attraction and interest and curiosity and whatever. But in what world do we ostracize them? Harass them.
And then harm. And then there is harm when you do come out as who you are, right? It's that it is the idea of that if you're not in majority, right? And so then, of course, like it's just people understanding if they have one thing they want to tell their spouse, but they're keeping it secret, even if it's something, a surprise birthday party they're having for them. Like you pay a physical and emotional price just to keep even a positive secret. Imagine every day having to live in this, no matter what it is.
And having a lover or a partner and not being able to say yes, myself and my partner went on a date or we had a party, or we did whatever. You'd have to say, oh, me and my roommate.
Sure.
Or my friend.
Yeah. There's so much of an emotional price. Was there a behavior for you that came from that even health problems, even physical health problems? Are you aware of the price that your silence cost you?
Yeah. Let's see, what award did I win through all of my traumas? Depression, anxiety, PTSD, several attempts to end my life. One that was more serious than all the rest, that led the doctor that last attempted suicide to say, we do not know how you survived this. How are you here? We don't understand. You're not supposed to be here.
Wow. Whew.
And so surviving that suicide attempt as an active duty member, living with depression, living with major anxiety, panic attacks, not just because of the homophobia, but just everything.
Right.
And I remember telling somebody then like all of the times, not just myself, but a lot of marginalized folks that served, being at work and like crying and like just going through so much harassment and just difficulty. I don't want any job that makes me cry.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I don't want any job where I am like having panic attacks before I walk into work, dreading being in the environment.
Sure.
Guarding myself, kind of just like bracing every day for, I hope they leave me alone today. I hope things are okay today. So yeah, there's some real serious implications in being in harmful and abusive environments.
Yeah. And Tasha, I'm just curious, and this is painful to even think about, but were people in the military who came out or were suspected, were they more likely to be sexually assaulted, to teach them a lesson, to show them what really being a woman's supposed to mean, all the things that I've heard?
What it means, being a woman, how dare you?
Yeah.
Or being a man or a non-binary person, how dare you? Not be cisgendered, cis hetero.
Right. Right.
Because we live in a patriarchal society. Where we are brainwashed. We're supposed to need men.
Mm.
We're supposed to not exist without a man. So how dare you not be here in the full service of a man?
Yeah.
And not exist as a cisgendered man, right? If you know, if you're, let's say if you're, you know, a gay person, how dare you? We are not. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's immediate ostracization. I don't even know if that's a word. And yes, sexual assaults are prevalent in the military.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, well, I don't think that this is the case so much now. It still exists, but especially back then. And I came in the late 90s, early 2000s. You had to mask yourself. You had to, you know, there was lots of masking so that your physical body could be protected.
Right.
Yeah. So it happens a lot, and I'm sure that it still happens to a degree.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, the similarities between the church and military.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're not allowed to question. And again, the idea of telling people service before self is incredibly detrimental. It's part of why so many of us sabotage today, is that the minute we let things be about connection to self, which is how God wired us. We are created and wired to be connected to self.
We are.
And without that happening, we stay in sympathetic, we stay in a fight response, or we stay in dorsal vagal, completely shut down. Like, you really are meant to be at your best and being connected. But without being taught that, then this system, whether it's church, military, or society as a whole, this system remains the same because there's not enough self to question it.
Yeah. Part of my healing too came through psychedelic assisted therapy.
Okay. All right. Why didn't we start there? Okay. Hang on. Why did we not?
I just wanted to name.
Start there. Talk about that right now, please. Tell me.
I don't know that we have time. But,
no, please tell me something. I'm so intrigued.
Okay. So here's because I don't want to share everything, because some, you know, but I will say that one of the questions that came through my own psychedelic journey is one of the questions or the intentions were, who am I before my mother's birth?
Right.
Who am I before my mother's birth? And we can take that a little bit further. Who am I before the world told me who they wanted me to be and needed me to be?
Right, exactly.
Okay?
Yep.
And so this, like, coming home to yourself and finding yourself came through asking that question over and over and over. At my core, who am I? And what are my interests, and what do I believe in? And where do I feel most safe?
Yeah.
And in terms of love and practice, what does that mean to me? How do I practice it to myself, for myself? And then how do I give it out to the world?
Right.
But who am I? And that's an easy question, and that's such a complicated question.
Very complicated. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's individuality versus personality.
Yeah.
Yeah. What can you tell us a little bit, like, what psychedelics you chose, how you were able to do that? I think it's the future of mental health. I'm very excited about what it does for people.
I am so passionate about psychedelics. I am trained in psychedelic assisted therapy. I'm trained in ketamine, which is the only legal thing here in North Carolina.
Right.
I hope that they would follow the footsteps of Oregon and other states, Hawaii and some others. And so I got introduced about 3 years ago. And I've had other experiences that I just can't name here on air. We can talk about it offline, though.
Okay.
And it came through being in a community of other other clinicians who were already on the path and getting training, and them saying, hey, why don't we meet and talk about this? And here's this training. Okay, sign up for this. And I was signing up for psychedelic.
Yeah.
And then, being in community with others who were wanting to connect back with indigenous culture, and all of us healing deep childhood trauma,
right?
Deep wounding.
So in that indigenous culture, are you alluding to the Peru mud tea that I can't pronounce, by the way, so I'm not saying it? Is this like the more of a indigenous mud tea that people are drinking and being allowed for 4 hours to purge?
Just in any of the indigenous medicines we could, for instance, like psilocybin.
Right, absolutely. I'd love to.
Or San Pedro, or there's so many. And so, but being in community with people that were, I don't know, leaving out the medical model.
Yes.
Because we understood, and I still believe it, the medical model doesn't really exist, as far as I can tell, to make us well.
That's correct.
To make us better. I can't remember the last time I read an article or seen some research where, are doctors, are they still healing things? It seems like it's been a number of years since we've had like any breakthrough in science where diseases are being healed.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not sure really what happened.
Yeah.
Maybe the pharmaceutical industry has something to do with that.
It could have a little bit to do with that. And, and that's one reason why I love Dr. Gabor Mate. Like, he is speaking so beautifully and clearly as an MD of like, hey, he's very much in the psychedelic assisted therapy.
Yes.
Right. And he's done so much. And because he's got the initials, and also probably because he's male and he's older, he's got so much experience. He's speaking so well about the trauma that doctors go through. And, just to become doctors, but there's no training. There's no training on trauma. So they're already in trauma state. And so they're not even interacting with their patients about the patient's trauma.
There's no training in trauma. So like when we talk about psychedelics, it's, I'm thinking of psilocybin and ayahuasca.
Yes.
And LSD and MDMA. Like I said, there's a whole long list of others. But, and those things are, a lot of those should be decriminalized.
Yes.
Cannabis should be decriminalized everywhere.
Yes. I agree.
And yeah, so psychedelics was a major part of my own healing and understanding.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
And I look forward to having conversations in the future,
Well,
more about this.
Yeah, and I would love that. And so I just want to ask this for our listeners, because I'm definitely one of those psychotherapists that are very much encouraging people to research this and telling them about like the Soul Church in Florida, the different places where they can, experience this. But tell our amazing audience, who's the right candidate for ketamine?
The right candidate for ketamine. I feel like ketamine could almost be for any person. Most people who have a diagnosis of PTSD or have been, on some kind of psychotropic medications for depression, for anxiety. If there's, any kind of a mood disorder.
Yeah.
I don't know if it works very well for those with like personality disorders or not.
Right.
Like, or like bipolar or DID, dissociative identity disorder. I'm not sure about that. I don't know. And I feel like I would need more information before I even speak on that.
Sure. But it sounds like the majority of people that are listening, because I know our amazing really just inquisitive audience, like they are the prime candidate if this is someplace that they feel stuck when it comes to depression, and that, anxiety is unprocessed trauma. And so not being able to have movement in that they could contact you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely reach out. And if I'm not able to assist, I can certainly provide them some resources.
Right. Are you doing, like, are you working within a ketamine clinic, or are you doing it as a sole practitioner with the ketamine?
So I don't work with clinic. My private practice is, I'm literally just a solo therapist.
Right.
So right now my work is not with any like psychedelic assisted therapy clinic or anything like that. That's something I'm hoping to get into here within the next year or two.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, especially because I live in a state where a lot of the medicines that I would want to work with are just not legal right now.
Right.
But I do believe, ketamine is what's legal, and and so moving forward, I'd love to do that work. I do also offer for clients that are getting ketamine assisted therapy and they want to still utilize services like from their own therapist. So if I'm their therapist, they can get the treatments and we can do integration sessions separately.
Gotcha. That's good. That's really
good.
And
so that's one thing that I do provide.
Yeah, no, that's great. I appreciate you being able to share about that. And again, like I've researched doing the training with MDMA. Just made a decision to not do that. One, because you have to do the MDMA yourself, and I've been sober for 27 years, and I'm just not willing to do that. But very much for finding the resources, finding people in the community because it's a lot of training. It's very expensive. Anybody that's doing that training is highly dedicated to people getting better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What psychedelics does is it backs up our protectors.
Right.
Our firefighters. And just from my experience, it feels like we can spend 20 years really processing the same trauma over and over and over.
Yeah.
And psychedelics can really fast track a lot of that healing.
Yeah.
It's important for people to do your due diligence and do a lot of reading and research on the places. There's still even a lot of harm in those environments.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
Psychedelic environments. And so just do a lot of research before you go. Check out the place that you're going to. If you're getting ketamine assisted therapy or psilocybin assisted therapy, do a tour of the place, interview them, ask the right questions, ask them, in terms of safety and harm reduction, and how are they addressing those issues, and talk about boundaries and all the things to make sure that you're safe in those environments.
Yeah. Sound advice. And those of you who don't necessarily know internal family systems vocabulary, firefighters means that it's the part of you that's very impulsive. It's the first responder. It comes in and puts the fire out, so to speak. But what that means is that's the alcoholism, drug addiction. It can be binge eating. It can be doing Netflix for 10 hours. Like, it's just the part that helps you disassociate. And so that is always an indication that there's some trauma there that's been triggered. And so that part comes in so you don't experience that. And so psychedelic assisted therapy is helping with allowing us to get moving into a higher consciousness within our brains. Therefore, we don't need to put out the fires through behavior. We're going to do it internally. Yeah. Well, you are fantastic and wonderful. Thank you. And I want everybody to know, when I asked you to be with us, I didn't know you were queer. So that's just a bonus. So wasn't even on purpose, but it makes me even happier.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So thank you for being part of this. Before I put you on the hot seat, I'm going to ask you a few questions on the hot seat. I always do this to people. Will you tell them real quick, if they want to connect to you or follow you on social media, how would they do that?
Yeah, I can be reached, or they can follow me on social media at Tasha Hunter LCSW, Tasha Hunter LCSW on Instagram. And then my website is TashaHunterLCSW.com.
All right, great. And we'll try to have that in our show notes as well. All right, you're in the hot seat. Here we go. What is your favorite quote?
Oh, man, that's a hard one. Kim, I don't know. Oh, well, here's one.
All right.
I heard Oprah say one time, be aware of the energy that you bring into the room.
Yeah, good.
And that keeps me mindful of that I have a self.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that self energy is good. All right, what surprises people the most about you?
People know that know me know that I absolutely love and can't live without music. They're very surprised.
Yeah. When
I put on a little honky tonk, a little country music.
That's great. I love that. That's good. It's good stuff. All right, honky tonk. All right, what surprises you the most about you?
Oh my goodness, that I'm so freaking amazing, I guess. I don't know.
You are. I agree with that. I'll give you an amen on that one.
To go from being this traumatized little girl, traumatized adult, trying to find any kind of exit out of this world and to still be here at 43 years old, almost 44, to just still be here.
Yeah. Yeah, so good.
Yeah, that's surprising for me.
Yeah, I like that. What's your favorite binge-worthy show?
RuPaul Drag Race. I've watched every season since the very beginning.
Okay. Never watched it. I kind of feel like I need to now that you've said that.
Kim, come on now.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes. I'm sorry. I work a lot. I did not. I'm going to get on it though. I'm so sorry. Okay. All right, I'm going to do it. Okay, last hot sheet question for you. If you could have any other name than your actual name, what would you select?
Ooh. Maybe something gender neutral. I've always liked characters on TV that had gender neutral names, whether that's Max or Frankie or Charlie or Sam.
Yeah. Taylor, stuff like that. Yeah.
Something gender neutral.
Yeah, I like that. Well, you have been amazing. Thank you, because I know you don't necessarily know me. Or you don't know how amazing I am. Now you might, but we didn't know how amazing we were. I just had a intuition, gut feeling that you would bring a lot to our Flip Your Lid audience. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for the invite.
Yeah, it's been great. All right, everyone. I know you probably heard something today that helped you reconnect to who you really are. And that is our hope for you. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to Flip Your Lid with Kim Honeycutt. Please subscribe, rate, and share. You can find Kim on Facebook or Instagram at KBHoneycutt. To get an autographed copy of Kim's book, visit butyourmotherlovesyou.com. Remember, no matter what, treat yourself well today.